do a project called Senior Project. And what we have to do is we have to create a PowerPoint, like a presentation, a product, and a paper. So I had to write a research paper, and then my PowerPoint. My presentation had to be between 8 and 10 minutes. If I was under 8 minutes or over 10 minutes, even by a second, I automatically lost 20 points. Luckily, my time ended at 9:59, and yeah, that was a close call. And I did receive a 96.2 on my project. I do have a portfolio that we can pass around. This is what the judges had to look at. That was part of what they graded us on. It was a big portion of our grade. I also go to Hillgrove High School in Cobb County, so that does play a big role in this. Cobb County is not very supportive of equal rights, so that was a struggle for me. All right, I'm just going to start. Whenever I was 8 years old, I was going to the PGA golf tournament with my family, and I was walking. My brother wasn't with us, but I had both of my moms, Kim Montgomery and Mina Brummett, one on each side of me holding my hands. And we came to a street corner where we had to stop and wait for traffic, and there was a man standing there screaming at us. He was a street corner preacher, and he started yelling at my mom saying, "You're going to hell, and your daughter's going to hell because of you." Well, it wasn't obvious that they were gay. You know, they could have been friends. They could have been my aunts. Nobody knows. I was really confused and upset by this. I was so upset that I had a milkshake that I wanted to throw at the guy, but they wouldn't let me, unfortunately. My family and I had gone to church before, and we had been baptized, we prayed, and so I didn't understand why my family was being targeted. So this was the first time I had been exposed to prejudice. Good morning, my name is Mina Brummett, and I did my senior project on the fight for equal rights in the gay community. For my product was the hours I spent educating the community on the fight for equal rights in the gay community. Doing that, I created visual display panels that were on display during Pride in the Cultural Arts exhibit, and all of these panels contain detailed biographies about each of the celebrities, which is these panels I have sitting up here. While working on Senior Project, I had two mentors that worked with the Atlanta Pride Committee, Buck Cook and Max Green, which are both here today. Max has been working with the Cultural Arts exhibit and working on that whole thing for 6 years, and he is a lead volunteer. Buck is at the time, was the managing director of Pride, and he has been working with Pride for about 17 years. Buck helped me with my research and ideas, while Max helped me with the layout of my panels. Originally, I had chosen Elton John, Bayard Rustin, Harvey Milk, and Stuart Milk to create my panels about, but they didn't fit into the categories I needed, so I'll talk more about them later. After going through the research process again, I chose Elton John, Cyndi Lauper, Ellen DeGeneres, and Jonathan Larson. I chose to do this senior project topic because of my interest in cultural arts and because I wanted to learn more about the gay community. The first person I chose to research was Elton John. Elton John created the Elton John AIDS Foundation, and one of his fans created Lunch Around the World, which is where you gather your friends around Elton John's birthday and have a luncheon, and all of the proceeds go directly to his fund. Next, I chose Cyndi Lauper. Cyndi Lauper is not gay, but she's a huge activist in the gay community. She worked with Lady Gaga and MAC Cosmetics AIDS Fund and created a lip color line where all of the proceeds go to the MAC AIDS Fund. She also wrote the song True Colors, which inspired the name for her True Colors residence in New York City, and the True Colors Tour. The True Colors residence in New York City is lofts that are available to homeless youth in New York City that are from the gay community so they can start their lives over again. And they do have to meet several requirements, but they have programs and facilities so they can begin their lives over again. The tour, the True Colors Tour, also a portion of the proceeds from the tickets sold go to her fund. She also created the 40 to None project. 40% of the homeless youth in the United States are from the gay community, and this project is to help spread the awareness of that and bring that percentage down to 0. Next, I chose Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres started up as a stand-up comedian in New Orleans, and after she was discovered, she starred on several small TV series. One of her biggest hits was a show called Ellen. She starred as a character named Ellen Morgan, and eventually in that show, after several seasons, Ellen Morgan as well as Ellen DeGeneres came out as lesbians. This was the first show to have a leading role that was a homosexual. She is also now the new spokeswoman for JCPenney's, and 1millionmoms.com has been protesting it because she's not a representative of a traditional family. Jonathan Larson wrote the hit musical Rent, and Rent did not really become famous until after Jonathan died because it was written in the 1980s, and it had several racy themes such as lesbianism, AIDS, and mixed-race romances. So he had 5 roommates while he was living in New York City. 4 of them contracted HIV, and 3 of them died. So he was very upset by this, so he decided, well, I'm just going to write about this, and maybe it'll make me feel better. And that eventually became Rent. He also died after the final dress rehearsal from an aortic aneurysm, so he didn't even get to see his show premiered. And Max was very nice enough to ask me several questions and kind of interview me, I guess, through email, and created a panel just for me. So thank you, Max. The panels were on display throughout all of Pride weekend, and the weekend started off with the VIP party Friday, October 12th. At the VIP party, I met John Lewis, Mayor Reed, and Stuart Milk. This is where I'll highlight the people that I wanted to create my panels about originally, but I didn't get to create the panels for. So Bayard Rustin was an activist, and he marched on Washington with Martin Luther King Jr. He was also a big activist with gay rights, and he wanted to help diminish segregation. Harvey Milk and Stuart Milk. Stuart Milk is Harvey Milk's nephew, and is trying to continue spreading the word of Harvey Milk, which was, Harvey Milk was the first political out figure in the 1970s. He was the mayor of San Francisco, and unfortunately, he was assassinated November 27th, 1978, for being gay. His nephew, Stuart Milk, who was at the VIP party and one of the Grand Marshals of Pride this year, travels around the world trying to continue spreading his uncle's word of supporting gay rights and things like that. Saturday was the day of assembly, and so Max and I assembled the displays and put the panels up, and while we were building the displays, there was a woman that came up and talked to me for 20 minutes just about me and why I chose to pick this for my topic and what it was like trying to do my project and how much work I had put into it. And she started getting teary-eyed and actually caused me to get teary-eyed because she was talking about how glad she was to see that youth like me, and even though I'm not gay, that we're trying to still help support gay rights. And being from Cobb County, which is not an easy thing. Sunday, several other people spoke with me about myself in the exhibit. I received several members from volunteers at Pride as well as visitors thanking me for all my hard work and thanking Max for all his hard work and just thanking everybody from Pride for putting the event together. And this man right here, his name is Brooks. He stood there on the bridge the whole weekend, and he was kind of my bouncer of the cultural arts exhibit. He would yell at people if they were leaning on the displays, and he also talked to me about my senior project. During Pride, I also worked backstage security, and I got to meet Amy Ray from the Indigo Girls and Kat Graham, who is a star on the hit show Vampire Diaries, and she's also a singer and a dancer. So, some of the struggles I had in senior project was coming to the realization that I was going to lose friends and gain friends just because of the topic I chose, which I think is kind of silly, but that's how it just goes. And I had to present to several of my classes. So I presented to my astronomy class one day, and I had just pulled up my intro slide where my mom, my brother, and I are carrying the flag, and a boy said, "Oh my gosh, Miss Nelson, can I just leave now?" He didn't even give me a chance to say anything. That was so hurtful, and I did not get it. And whenever I was done with my presentation, there were several students that said, "Oh my gosh, that presentation was just so disrespectful and such just horrible," just because they didn't agree with me. So that was really hard for me to deal with. Overall, it was a great experience getting to see how proud people are to see that celebrities are working so hard to try and make a difference in a community where there are so many difficulties. And I think I taught myself more than I taught anybody else because I really didn't know much about any of these people. I had never even heard of Jonathan Larson whenever I started this project. And so it was a real learning stretch for me. Elton John, Cyndi Lauper, Ellen DeGeneres, and Jonathan Larson are just trying to make a difference by being themselves. And that's what my family has been trying to do. We're living in Marietta, Cobb County area, and not supportive of gay rights, and so it's very difficult for my parents to be out. And I have several friends and other family members that are out that live in the same area, and I've had comments from people talking about how hard it was to come out in Cobb County. And so some of the struggles that these celebrities are trying to end that I've personally had to deal with, I can't go to the doctor without a note from my mom, "Kim can't take me." So that doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know why, she's still my mom. So I also can't go get a library card without my mom. Kim couldn't take me. And I know among teenagers, the phrase, "that's so gay," is so popular. I have so many friends that know about my family that still say it. And in this project, I decided, well, I can kind of take a stand and say, that's actually hurtful. And, think about what you say before you say it. I know it's a popular phrase, and it's the language we use these days, but that doesn't mean it's okay to use. And also, I have to worry about if I got in a car accident with Kim, she couldn't tell the ambulance where to take me, to what hospital, or anything like that. So that was difficult as well. So my hope and goal in doing this project was to help you and the community understand the unfairness and struggles lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer people and their families have to deal with, and the efforts that are being made to reach equal rights. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Do you have any questions? Doug, for letting me work with you guys and helping me so much and answering all my annoying emails.
Not at all. It was an honor. Does anybody have any questions for Mina about our presentation or how it was received or anything?
By the way, we recorded this, so we will be posting it on YouTube and sending it to Ellen, so maybe. Yes.
I know initially you had some problems getting the topic accepted.
Yes.
Would you talk a little bit about that? And then in the back end, your scores were phenomenal. So what changed?
That's a big thing. So I had to submit my topic, I think it was 3 times, and it was continuously, you're not approved, you're not approved, you're not approved. And it was really hard because I tried rewording it so many different ways. I talked to Max and Buck about it, my parents, my teacher, all of my teachers actually, and everyone had tried to help me reword it, and every time I reworded it, it was not approved. And all they would say was, you need to be more specific. And so at some point, it felt like it was the topic that I was choosing. Because my school, I mean, I know we have FCA and stuff, but a lot of the people, a lot of my friends that are in FCA do not support my topic, and a lot of the teachers that are the sponsors for all these clubs do not support gay rights. And so I figured that was part of the reason why, but finally, after 3 times, and talking to Kane as well, we finally got it approved. And so, funny thing, during my presentation, we had 6 judges sitting in front of us. And I got up there, presented. I had 3 other girls that were in my room that were watching my presentation as well. And we were all so nervous. And I got up and started my presentation. And during the whole entire presentation, there was this old guy that was sitting there. And he just sat there, rolling his eyes the whole entire time, just sitting and sighing. And I understand you don't have to agree with my topic, but I'm not trying to persuade anybody with this project. I'm trying to give out facts and inform people. I'm not trying to get anybody, support gay rights. If you don't agree with that, that's fine. But with the grading, it's kind of funny because the guy that was huffing and puffing the whole time gave me one of the best scores. And I have a feeling it was because whenever we were done with our presentations, I was the first one to get up and go shake his hand and said, "Thank you for listening to my presentation." And I did that with every single judge. And I think that kind of raised my grade maybe a little, which is a good thing. But the scoring is very difficult. The score sheet is being passed around. They are very detail-oriented. You can't be over by a second or under by a second. You have to be dressed perfectly. I mean, if your dress is an inch above your knee, then you'll get counted off like 30 points. It's ridiculous. And unfortunately, this year, the class of 2013, my class, kind of got the bad end of it because they decided to change everything up on us because it was much easier scoring before our class, and this year they decided to kind of bump it up a little bit. But any other questions? Yeah.
Did you get an award for this?
Oh yeah. Out of the room I presented in, we had presentations. We had awards for best presentation and best product, and I won best presentation. So.
What was your score?
It was a 96.2. I already said that. Beginning. Right over the head.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.